Good morning, colleagues of the 25th Resources and Development Committee. Also to our legislative staff, our audience that are present here in person, and also to the listeners on the call. Happy belated Mother's Day. Hope that yesterday you all enjoyed your day with family and your loved ones. Although we're on to Monday, regular Resources and Development Committee. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 10:03 a.m. And with that, Rodney, could you please take roll call?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote for Resources and Development Committees, regular meeting for Monday, May 13th, 2024, 10 a.m. Roll call, Honorable Brenda Jesus.
Present.
Honorable Brenda Jesus is present. Honorable Casey Allen Johnson.
Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson is present.
Honorable Casey Allen Johnson is present. Honorable Shauna Enclaw.
Present.
Honorable Shauna Enclaw is present. Honorable Ricky Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez is present.
Honorable Ricky Nez is present. Honorable Danny Simpson. Honorable Otto Step.
Oh, excuse.
Excuse. Madam Chair, you have quorum is present, which constitutes a quorum for this regular meeting.
Thank you for that. And again, I just want to thank Navajo Division of Transportation for allowing Resources and Development Committee to utilize what they call the Natani boardroom. And again, we appreciate their hospitality and having to always have RDC have their meetings here. Next, I'd like to go ahead and go on to invocation. Colleagues, do I have any volunteer for invocation here this morning?
I can say.
Okay, Kokoshisha Deja, Honorable Claw.
Good morning, go ahead. As Madam Chair said, happy belated Mother's Day, and I'll go ahead and say a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning to ask for your good grace today as we continue with the planning for our Navajo Nation. I ask you to watch over our leaders, each and every one of them that leads the divisions, and then also those that direct the different branches. Heavenly Father, I come to you this morning to give thanks for all of the good blessings for the families that came together yesterday during Mother's Day. I ask you to continue to guide each and every one of us so that we may continue to do good work on behalf of the Navajo Nation. I ask for a special prayer for each of the leaders here that represent their different communities, their different plans and divisions for their future. I ask you for a special prayer for our veterans, for our elders, and for our children, and that we make those guiding principles a legacy for them to be proud of, and that they continue on with their own teachings. I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, Shadeja, Honorable Claw for that prayer. Going on to announcements, members of the committee, do we have any announcements at this time? What about legislative? No, okay. Going on to item number 2 on the proposed agenda, recognizing guests and visiting officials. And again, it's been over a year, and I believe that we have Honorable Chair Nez, Honorable Simpson, Honorable Claw, Vice Chair Johnson, and myself as members here. We do have Honorable Otto So, who is excused. We have our legislative services staff here, Rodney, Mr. Mose, and also we have Ms. Khan, our legal counsel. We do have LDA, Ms. Siako here. Good morning. Otto, and we do have our PIO staff from legislative. Good morning. And then we do have NTUA here along with, we don't have CPMD, but we do have the Running Horse Pipeline team here. Good morning. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. And also Alex, good morning. And then also Miss Claw for being here. I believe we have a presentation from the Telecommunication Regulatory Commission as she serves on the commission. So those are the individuals present. We do have listeners on the call. Okay, Hakoshi, so thank you again, listeners that are on the call here. Going on to item number 3, reviewing and approving the agenda. Rodney, could you please read the proposed agenda into the record?
Madam Chair, members have already seen the proposed agenda reads as follows. Resource and Development Committee and 25th Nominations Council's regular meeting for Monday, May 13th, 2024, 10 a.m. Presiding Honorable Brenda Jesus, Chairperson, Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson, Vice Chairperson, location Navajo Division of Transportation and via telecommunication. 1, call meeting to order, roll call invocation announcements. 2, recognizing guests and visiting officials. 3, reviewing and approving the agenda. 4, reviewing and approving the journal, May 1st, 2024 regular meeting, May 7th, 2024 special meeting. 5, receiving reports. A, report from the Division of Community Development on the Navajo Nation Capital Improvement Plan. B, report from Navajo Nation Telecommunication Regulatory Commission on the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 broadband projects and National Telecommunication and Information Administration NTIA grants. C, report from Navajo Nation Oil and Gas Company running force pipeline on the damage prevention. Call 811 before you dig, training and related matters. 6, old business, none. 7, new business legislation 0098-24. An action relating to Resource and Development Committee and Budget and Finance Committee approving a change to CAP 35-18 Exhibit D, project number 123 for the Cornfield chapter by amending the project type and project duration. Sponsor Honorable Vince R. James. 8, to close the meeting, announcements and adjournment. Madam Chair, members of RDC, that is the proposed agenda read into the record.
Hagoshi, so with that, members of the committee, may I get a motion?
Motion.
Honorable Claude, may I get a second? Honorable Vice Chair Johnson. Members of the committee, do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda that is here before us? Rodney?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, for receiving reports, item B, parts of the reports will require an executive session. Madam Chair, members of RDC.
So item letter B from Telecommunication Regulatory Commission requiring executive session. So I have to add that on as an amendment, right? Or no? Okay, so with that recommendation, colleagues, I'd like to go ahead and under receiving reports, letter B, report from Navajo Nation Telecommunication Regulatory Commission to go to executive session. That's just going to be an add-on to the agenda at this time. Any other questions or amendments, members of the committee? Vice Chair, our Chair Ness?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and Delegate Claw and Ms. Kong, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Your son in Coffins, and so all of you that are out there, that are mothers, happy Mother's Day. Perhaps since under B, we're going to go into executive session, perhaps we can switch B and C. And I'd like to make that motion. For Amendment 1, thank you.
Hagoshi? Thank you, Chair Nez. So members of the committee, we do have a motion on the floor to switch item letter B and C. So C will be the new letter B, B will be the new letter C under receiving reports. Since Telecommunication Regulatory Commission report has to be an executive session. May I get a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Honorable Claw. Okay, with that, a particular amendment number 1, any questions? Okay, with that, Rodney, can we take our roll call vote on amendment number 1?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote for amendment number 1 on switching items 5B to 5C and 5C to 5B. Honorable Shannon Claw, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Shannon Claw votes green. Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Ellen Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Excuse. Madam Chair, that's 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
Okay, so with that, motion carries for amendment number 1, going back to main motion on approving the agenda. Do we have any additional amendments, members of the committee? Going once, twice, so with that, Rodney, can we take roll call vote on the main motion on approving agenda?
And Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote for reviewing and approving the agenda. Honorable Shannon Claw, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Shannon Claw votes green. Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Ellen Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Zolgar Ricknez votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Agree.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Excuse, Madam Chair, there's 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
Okay, so with that, motion carries. We go on to item number 4, reviewing and approving the journals. We do have May the 1st and May 7th, May 1st regular RDC meeting journal that was emailed along with the May 7th special RDC meeting that were emailed by our legislative staff. So with that, may I get a motion to accept the journals?
Motion.
Honorable Claude, may I get a second? A second, members of the committee for the journals? Chair Nez. Members of the committee, do we have any questions on the journals that were emailed out by legislative staff? Going once, twice. Rodney, can we take roll call vote on accepting the journals?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote, reviewing and approving the journals. Honorable Shannon Clark, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Shannon Clark votes green. Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Ellen Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Zolgar Ricknez votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Excuse, Madam Chair, that's 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
Okay, so with that, we go on to item number 5, receiving report, letter A, report from the Division of Community Development on the Navajo Nation Capital Improvement Plan. We do have presenter, Mr. Arvin Mitchell, the Division Director for Division of Community, Acting Division Director for Community Development. So at this time, Mr. Mitchell, we'd like to go ahead and yield the floor over to you for a 20-minute report starting at 10:15 a.m.
Thank you. Good morning, Betsy.
Good morning.
The one of the announcement, Happy Mother's Day, 6 weeks ago. The Arvin Mitchell, Community Development Director. So on your item has CIP plan. There's a handout that is being handed out there. Just a little background information. Title 12-860. On there, it has annual budget. If there is a CIP plan, that goes along with the annual budgeting process. For the last number of years, the last time that there was a CIP plan that was approved was back in 2014. So know what that from 2014 on this way, that section has been waived every year. Every year waived, not because there's no CIP plan. So a budget, which is now just FY 25 budget. And Budget and Finance Committee, they have a function in this CIP plan. Their function is identifying funding sources. The RDC's function is identifying projects. Under the proposed FY 25 budget. So so what we did back when it was approved back in 2014. That it was attempted numerous times, but it was tabled a couple of times. So back in December, we asked the chapters to update their ICIP. ICIP module is in the wind system. New Mexico, they use that same module when they're asking for capital outlay. So when the legislators, when they meet, it's usually the information is in that module. So what the governor does is when projects are approved, he or she, whoever the governor is, look at the ICIP. If it's in there, either he or she will sign it. If it's not in there, more than likely, the governor will say, I'll veto it because it's not in the ICIP. So we felt way back 2011, around that time, we felt that was a good process. Where the chapters will do their own budget planning, their own, project planning. So we introduced that as our Navajo Nation ICIP. So it's in the WIN system. The public can view it as a view. Although the chapters, they have the ability to update their system. So we asked the chapters back in December to start updating their ICIP. Because we would like to take a shot at, see if we can get something into the FY 25 budget. The one thing that I told Budget and Finance Committee is that we have a lot of projects out there already. The ARPA projects and there's just a lot of money out there. And if we do a ICIP, if we do a capital budget, it's just gonna be overwhelming. Overwhelming for our system, especially project management and folks at the chapter level trying to add more projects. But they already have. So one of the things that I recommend to them is that maybe we should just go ahead, forego it again this time. Because next year we'll probably have a better idea on some of these shortfalls that the ARPA projects will be having next year. It's barely starting, and I believe we're on work order number 5. So once we get those all in place, once work starts moving forward, we'll probably have a better estimate on their project shortfalls at these chapters on the upper project. So I recommended that to them. The other recommendation that I have put forth to them is that maybe, so we don't waive that section. And we just used to do that, a while back, is that maybe just put $5 million in there. And what we can use is, I know that one thing that is a priority is agency offices. Agency offices. Back then, when we did that, it was detention. We set aside $5 million to start on these detention projects for planning, design, and all that. So good thing that we did that. Because later on, I think it was the following year, President Obama, ARA. They identified some ARA money. So good thing that we did planning and some design for some of these detention. So we were ready to go with Tuba City, Crown Point, Kayenta. So maybe in that fashion, we can do some of these agency complex out there. The other one that came to my office is the youth complex. We sort of did the same thing with Fort Defiance. Is that we put aside small amount of money for planning and design. Though they started getting some grants, some monies. So you look at that Fort Defiance facility, it's a good facility. It's a good facility, it has a gymnasium, it has, all the necessary things that youth can do. So maybe that's another option, put small amount of money, because we have to start somewhere. Planning is where it needs to start. A lot of times we put money into construction, but we forget planning and design. And we start working backwards. So when that's going to go, and it just gets stalled because it's not properly planned. So those are some recommendations out there going forward. Okay. So in this presentation, be at the second page of this packet here. It just has some information that ties into putting a plan together. And one thing is planning. Planning, design, then construction. If you keep that in that order, you know, the flow is good. But if we just like the ARPA project, we just put money into a project, but we didn't plan it out, we didn't define it out. So that's why there's that delay. The budget and finance part. You know, there's revenue projection that was realized a couple of months ago. And I believe that there's probably a good 20 million that is projected more than last year. So, you know, we have monies, additional monies, I think, but we'll wait for budget and finance to come up with their regular projection when they come before budget and finance committee. So that's another aspect to CIP plan. Though the other one is citizen input. You know, a lot of times we miss, we don't do this up to then when it gets back to the community level, at the chapter level, just other people that, you know. So that's another thing that ties into a CIP plan is citizen input. The next portion I'm reading from left to right is operation and maintenance. You know, this is where Napa Nation, we have a big problem. You know, we build facilities, but we don't put monies for operation and maintenance. And I think any plan that we develop should include operation and maintenance. Or any project that comes before RDC or budget. I did inform budget and finance committee that any projects coming before their committee, you know, that should be one of the questions. How are you gonna maintain the buildings? How are you gonna do your operation? Because what we hear from the chapters that have big facility is that, you know, they have a hard time paying their monthly bill, NTUA, their water bill and all that. So, you know, we have oversized buildings out there and we still get requests. And we're trying to tell the sponsor, which are the chapters, you know, downsize it, you know, we don't need to build a big facility because operation maintenance, you know, if you haven't got money for it, fine. But, you know, that's another thing in developing a plan. Although engineering, you know, that's another thing, okay, because we can do one plan, but then again, we have to do soil testing. And one way to save money is to have, you know, same size building, same size, whatever. So that way we can save some money on it. So that's one thing that to keep in mind in developing a plan. So when we did the ICIP, like I said, it's in the wind system. We can tell the wind system certain things. If we just want power line project, it'll give us power line projects. So as of yesterday, there was, you know, just probably almost half of the chapter did their updates. But we told them, you say, you know, if you don't have an update, then you don't have a project. You don't have a project out there. If council decide to go this route. So again, I could have it. So on the third page, this gives you an idea what's out there. What's out there. You know, like I said, you tell the system what you want. So there's let me just go with the fourth line down, new chapter house. Under listing for 2025, there's 11 chapters that is requesting for new chapter house. Though when you go further down, there's multi-purpose building, 13 are requesting multi-purpose building. But when you go read across, there's 5 and 7. So the first choice is 13, the second choice would be 5, and then 7. So when you add all this up, there's 25 that are requested. So this is how you read this, and then the dollar amount. So we just took the first year, yeah. The first year, the priorities, when you go to the second page, 839 million. You know, just imagine if we go the 5 years, it's gonna be in the billion, it's gonna be in the billion. So this is just what's in the system. So, you know, like I said, Budget and Finance Committee puts the amount, meeting with OMB, they do the financial analysis. OMB and Office of the Control. They do the financial analysis, like I said, there's probably an extra 20 million from last year to this year on the budget. Though, you know, a while back when we first did this, yeah, we wanted to bond some of these projects. We wanted to go bonded on some of these projects. So when there was work session that was put on by the controller's office, putting that, that 500 something million aside from ARPA, if we can go bonding, you know, we can bond. And we have money for payback, so no, you're not, you know, that one might be a good use of money. The next number of pages is just what's in the chapter system first year. You need 8 million, so much on that. You know, those are just what's in the system. Chapter like Alamo, and then it's all about alphabetical order, the chapter. So this is what's in the ICIP system. So it's a good system. It's a good system. Although one of the things is the first page is usually the contact information. Who do we contact and all that. Although the second page is I believe was your strategic plan. But project UK, but no that's the second page. The third page is the inventory. Inventory is probably very important too. Inventory meaning what do they have on there? That is capital. So in our system, $50,000 or more is considered capital. So there's buildings out there that are out there, but they're, you know, what condition are they in? We've got a lot of buildings, so that's where they put the information in there too. Although the fourth page is just their priority of projects, the last page is their summary. So that's in the wind system. Although if you go to DCD, it's in the public view. You can go down to your chapter and what's in the system. Although you can tell your chapters that you need to update your wind system. Delegate the chapters, I think most of their chapters are all updated except for one. Just looking at some of these information. So chapters need to be told that they need to update. So I'll go ahead and give the floor to Mr. Waseda here for added information. So yeah, that's just like it. And then going forward, maybe we can have a work session and start playing around with what I mentioned in the wind system. Do we go with fire lines? Do we go with whatever? A lot of these fire lines are under the SASM, fire line and water line. Although a lot of facilities are under the ARPA. So, you know, but do we go with what we mentioned, you know, just do some planning and behind it. You know, not on the day that maybe next year we can start going into some of these construction. Yeah, they quite get just presented the EK because the budget will be coming up soon. So I'll go ahead and give the rest of my time to Mr. Waseda.
You have 4 minutes.
Okay, good morning, sorry I'm a little late, so we're to contractual. My name is Dwayne Waseda. I'm with Department Manager of CIP or CPMD. Before you is I'm going to reference the sheet. This is kind of the sheet that's in front. That's a tell-all for what the 1 year 2025 as we go into here. There's roughly about 8 categories, big categories: agriculture, building and communities, building and economic development, equipment, housing, real estate, transportation, utilities, power lines, water lines. So out of this first evaluation of $839 million. When we calculate in terms of the 5 years of what's being provided, honestly, you're looking at roughly about $4 billion. And I think one of the big things that, not to just cut for 4 minutes ahead, is we have to really look at what revenue we're looking at in order to establish a capital improvement plan. We have to have that baseline money value. Because there's an $800 million request for the first year. There's, if you look at the sheets, there's a ranking 1, 2, and 3. The 1, 2, and 3 is just kind of a snapshot. And looking at the revenue, analyzing revenue in the last 5 years, the capital improvement and capital requests, we're looking at $200-300 million of nomination as allocated every other year. So that's something that we have to come to mix on. How much money can the nation afford? The second part is, what is the nation in whole? In whole, the strategic plan for the nation. Strategic plan for the nation and budgeting has to go hand in hand to be successful. Most metropolitans and federal governments and state governments have those strategic plans to lay out a capital improvement plan. So these are discussions that we have to have as we approach this, because if not, we're shooting from the hip, I'm just being honest. If we shoot from the hip, we're gonna be not targeting what we need to. There's several areas here. How do we blend some of the different funding sources we have through the federal highway, through capital outlay, New Mexico, Arizona, some of the fundings we have with the Department of Health. So this is gonna be a large collaboration in terms of how we address this in whole as an elevation. So I'll end with that, but I think one of the things is look through this. And this is all data that's coming out, and we're fine-tuning it. And looking at some of those areas. One thing that I've analyzed, we're doing a lot of assessments on some senior citizen buildings, senior buildings and chapter buildings. A lot of those buildings have deteriorated because of lack of maintenance.
Right.
And if we're, everything that we put in, this is one thing I'll echo, it's an investment into our assets. All these buildings are assets to the Navajo government. How do we protect those assets? It's called operation maintenance. So I'm gonna end with that. Madam Chair and committee, thank you.
For reporting. So at this time, members of the committee, I'd like to go ahead and get a motion and a second to accept the report from the Community Development, Vice Chair Johnson. Motion, and may I get a second?
Second.
Honorable Claw. Ado Shanatani no Sinigi Dosta Nados Kida in regards to the capital improvement plan that was presented here by Division of Community Development with some points that were made. So I'm gonna go ahead and allow opportunity for any questions. I think, again, thank you, Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Wasetta, for your report. I know that, there has to be a comprehensive, strategic, I guess, planning meeting. I see that the areas that you mentioned that consist of, certain projects are at the community level, which is community development. Otto Inda, you mentioned economic development. Then transportation would be NDOT. And also possibly even having DNR there. The reason why is, I think that there needs to be a better blueprint of what we want to do going forward. I know that under the chapter, they're asking for multi-purpose building and chapter renovation. And what is the vision going forward in terms of regionalization for the leaders, the Klinigi? And there still has yet, and then how do we know that some of these projects are not on the ARCO list right now? So the kids, so So I do have, and then the biggest issue, yes, is operation and maintenance. I know that some of our chapter communities, veterans building that they use, like multi-purpose. Those buildings are not being utilized right now because number one, chapter cannot pay the utility costs associated with operating that on a daily basis. Knowing that these facilities are supposed to be utilized at least 80%, 80 to 85% of the time, but yet they're just sitting there with no activities going on. These are the types of planning that the chapter really needs to, local leadership really needs to discuss before they propose these certain projects. Could your youth facility, it's nice that it's there in Fort, but you know what? The last couple of months, that place hasn't been utilized at all very much. You got a really nice facility there that for our youth population and supposedly to keep our youth out of trouble and buildings, the gate is always closed. So it's like, you know, we question stuff like this, and then you go up to Tuba City, there's this public park. You got the skateboarders there, there's no gate to it, they can go skate when they want. And then there's a waiver that's there at the, posted at the park, and I thought that's the same concept for the one here in Fort Defiance, but it's not. So when we say we're gonna do some investment in these projects, I think it's for the betterment of the community to utilize. Not just, you know, locked up and saying that, okay, well, you need insurance. No, as Navajo, we put that out there, and I know that's coming from risk management insurance program. But how do we maximize the usage of these facilities? And I think that's the bottom line question that we all need to be asking. So I'll put that, so I just wanted to put that in there, but I think we really need to come around and have a strategic planning. Right on the as divisions, because some of these projects are in the realm of Department of Transportation, Autonomic Economic Development. Maybe the same project that is under this chapter, it's with Economic Development's 5-year plan, we don't know. So these are, and then maybe the growth communities of the reservation, so those are a lot of areas to discuss, so I just wanted to put that out there, but members, do we have any questions to this point? And then, yeah. Honorable Simpson.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of RC, cabinet staff, guests are here, and guests are listening. This one off of Madam Chair's statements. And I'd like to request to have NDOT, also Division of Economic Development, and also other entities and Division of Community Development to sit down and break this down. Because I do see a lot of the projects like M46, this council project. And that's part of NDOT's 5-year plan. Yeah, I see some hotels in there, and we see some hotels in the Division Economic 5-year plan too. So I think this is where we talk about that internally, we don't have divisions working together, and everybody's going their way. And now we've got the total amount is $839 million plus. So I think this is where we talk about to make sure we have the exact numbers to what we're talking about, exact amount that we need to talk about. Division of Economic Development, Division of other capital under Division of Community Development, and other projects that changing roads and bridges under the Department of Transportation. So right now we're just giving, I guarantee they're all done stuff. And I think I'd like to make that request, Mr. Mitchell, to you to take the lead, and we'll get you with information to Mr. Pacheco and Mr. Scalons and other entities that need to be involved. Because we kind of give this a wish list to our chapters.
throw anything in there that you want for capital project. Put 10, 15 projects in there. How do we concentrate on maybe the top three? Get all those capital project finance, and we definitely say the same thing to now what department transportation and division of economic development, and they present their 5-year plan. So,
Shopping center too.
I know it's hard to say as the division director and your staff to tell chapters that they can input in the capital in the wind system or not to input. I mean, just basically, you guys get the heat. So you basically just put anything in there, I mean, what you guys want, it's kind of like a wish list, and that's been happening over 20-some years, 30 years. When money bills come out, you know, when some money is identified, and we got $500 million, but overall, we look at 500 million for 110 shops, and now itself, it's not a lot of money. But to people, that's a lot of money. But for us, it's something that, you know, we can just get a certain amount of projects done. So one of the things is that, I think what Madam Chair stated is that how do we control this? How do we can make some of these capital projects a reality within 5 years? If we talk about 5 years, also then we talk about inflation. So when some of these projects come reality in 5 years, now you need additional maybe 25% of what was in the 5-year plan. You know, we got to update those in our 5-year plan and understand that. But sometimes we just doing some chapters just doing the same numbers. And just keep saying numbers all the way to 5 years. And I know we had to update it on an annual basis with the state of Mexico and also with the navigation. But I think we really need to important chapters, make sure to include the action, not action, right? How many supposed you can get for or request to be funded. Again, it goes back to when you get funded, how long does it take for these projects to become reality? I know that with the proper step we're taking, planning, designing, engineering, all of this goes taken. Now, at time we think there's cost estimate that's close enough to get funded in the proper method of what's being requested. Then it goes with the workload and division of community development or other problems. The time we get it done, the contractor, it increases the cost, and we go back. We go back to I need additional money. My little sister here, she's gonna be sponsoring legislation. Fishing wildlife. So she's asking for 1.5 million because they can shortfall for the inflation. That's what we're talking about. They had enough money, what they received from the federal government. By the time the paper went through, the inflation hit us. Now she's asking for 1.5 million for the fish for now fishing wildlife. So I'm going to support that now because this is what we go through. Let's go back to Department of Youth. In Conklin. It's completely built, but there were certain things that came to shortfall. And we requested money of $800,000 plus. Because the inflation is still, so it's now they still need additional money to cover certain things and to comply with ADA. And those are the things that we're talking about. Every time we're ready construction, we tend to fall, to have a shortfall. How long it takes to get that, to get all the paperwork done and to get the construction started. So, Ms. Mitchell, I'm not blaming you guys, don't get me wrong. I'm just throwing those things out there, how we fix them. What legislation do we need, is the procurement process, too lengthy, and I know we submitted that. A few months ago, getting contract through DOJ through 164 process, that always comes up. How do you fix that? Because you guys are the ones that go through the process. And I think when we all came on board on 25th Council, that's one thing I asked everyone. Oversight we have, and our RC has oversight over divisions. Where are the hiccups? When you need to get things started, where do we, what are the problems with the construction? What are the problems that you guys have with DOJ or H 164 process, or OPPP or something? What, we have not received anything yet as of today. What do we need, what new laws do we need to, or what laws do we need to implement? To this day, nothing. And we still hear today, this is the problem we have with DOJ, this is the problem we have with the 164 process, this is one, it's all here today. And we offer that to every division we have oversight, or departments. And you said that where do we need to make new laws or amend laws? To say again, I said that a couple of times now. I'm still offering that for myself and from RDC. And I hope everybody listen out there from NDOT, all the oversight that we have. And all the oversight that we have over these divisions or departments, I hope you guys are listening. Because we need to fix all these obstacles and barriers that delay getting these projects started or completed. Yes, you got a good number here, but again, it's all mixed up with NDOT's 5-year plan, division economics plans. It was okay, it was busy, but again, I'm offering my service as a delegate because we're lawmakers. What do we need to amend? What do we need to, what laws do we need to make to, again, address these issues that we hear every day? So, since I got initiated, Mr. Mitchell, then one thing, Mr. Mitchell, before, I know this is gonna be a capital. Mr. Marcelo, your group, I know Anthony Thomas is really good. I'd like to start working on the office complex for each agency. And I'd like to make a request for the design and engineering, I guess the planning, engineering and design money. And I'd like to request to maybe start talking about it, because some sessions only another 8 weeks to move, somebody's pretty quick. So I'd like your division, because I definitely asked division that division of general service that we can start working on these facilities, the design and engineering for all these one-stop off complex for each agency. No word, nothing from OPBP. So I'd like to request your division that we sit down and start talking about it. To start getting these, make it a reality. And make it a reality for this one-stop shop. Because a lot of our employees that work at agency level are working out of unsafe buildings. Condemned buildings. And I think that we need to make it where we need to start working on it. So, I'd like to request if we can start working on that. How much money we'll need for the design, engineering, architectural, and engineering design for these facilities. It's gonna be the same, but at the ground site development probably different. The designs different each site. But we can use that one design for all the 5 agencies. You know, it's be very cost saving. The cost savings, and if you can get the numbers together and give me the request, I'd like to drop legislation on that and get that on some session. Since I got an initiation, I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Honorable Simpson. And with that discussion, with just the follow-up is one of the biggest areas that impedes development is the utility analyses. Oftentimes, you know, a community would do as built, get the plans stamped, and then by the time the utility analysis goes out to NTUA, we don't want that to be a barrier to where utility, the NTUA sends a response back saying that there's no capacity for electric for the new development and even water. So that's where our leadership at the local level needs to know how to properly plan. You know, they have to have that zoning within the communities that are structured out. And I think we all know as leadership and most of us that not every community is viable for development. Because you have to always look at the demographics within 50, 60 miles radius. What is the demographics like? So back at the community level. And with NTUA, with the utility analyses, it plays a crucial role. Because talking to Napa Housing Authority, right now, that's one of the big issues. And again, we know they're trying to, get our people out of substandard living condition, but NTUA will usually do the analyses until they find out what the load is on that particular building, and that's when as-built are built. But before that, it'll be good to get some information, but apparently we kind of do that at the later end of any project development. So again, taking the recommendation by Honorable Simpson, Mr. Mitchell Ashwana, can you take the lead in scheduling with NDOT, DED and DNR with some of these projects, because it's overlapping into their division. We got ARPA as well, and maybe we can clean up some of these projects in hopes that we bring a CIP plan next year, because you said you're going to forego this year again. So next year, we'll bring a reasonable plan here before the committee for consideration to Budget and Finance Committee to get it funded. So we'll go ahead and be awaiting your email, Shanat, on Mr. Mitchell, for that. Okay. And thank you for your report. Any other members going once, twice? So with that, Rodney, can you please take roll call vote on the report from DCD?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, roll call vote for receiving reports, item 5A, Honorable Shauna Cloud, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Shauna Cloud votes green. Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote? Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Aldo, how do you vote? Excuse, Madam Chair, that's 4 in favor, 0 opposed, Madam Chair not voting.
Kushi? So gentlemen, for your report here and providing the information. I don't thank you for all you do to you and your team out with Division of Community Development. So going on to item letter B, report from Navajo Nation Oil and Gas Company, Running Horse Pipeline on damage prevention. The call 811 before you dig, trainings and related matters. We do have presenters, Mr. Robertson, who's the Vice President of Mainstream, and Ms. Sharon Topahi, Community Relations Liaison with Running Horse Pipeline. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and yield the floor over to the both of you. We do have presentations that were provided, members of the committee. I believe it's a PowerPoint. And we will allot you 20 minutes starting at 10:56 a.m. So you do have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, distinguished members of the council. Again, my name is Joe Robertson. I'm the Vice President for Running Horse Pipeline. We were notified of this presentation request late last week. A little unclear as to what exactly the council was looking for. So we did do a presentation, but talking with Mr. Tahi sitting here, I think my handwritten notes may be better than for the intent of what this meeting may be doing. But just to go real quick through this, again, the first couple pages of the slides, again, refamiliarize to where our pipeline runs from. It runs from the greater Annis area down through southwest Colorado into northwest New Mexico down into the Biscay area. Again, 16-inch pipeline, transmits crude oil to the market. Been in the ground since 1957. December of this year, we were struck by a road grader who was maintaining the road. We spilled approximately 1,000 barrels. We recovered 900 barrels of that. And as of today, we are in the final stages of that. We did start our restoration. It's been completed. The seeding's been completing. And now we are just working with communities to make sure everybody is aware that it's pretty much done on that. Going forward with this, we talked about the meetings we have that we've scheduled, that we've had in the past to talk about the damage prevention, what we're doing and everything. I attached a presentation that we typically give to contractors. That's the presentation that we have However, sitting there after discussing with Mr. Taki and thinking back up to things, one of the issues that we have and is that within the Navajo Nation, there is no call before you dig program. There is no damage prevention program. So sitting in the back just a few minutes ago, I wrote down kind of a process to make that happen. And kind of more of a planning type thing that would take time. With the Navajo Nation traversing through 3 states, each state has its own unique call before you dig program. We sponsor all of them through our pipeline as a regulated industry, but we also go through Colorado. So we actually have 4 call before you dig programs. Now, at a high level, the programs themselves are very simple. You call 48 hours before you anticipate any excavation. And then the operator in that area is required to come out and mark the pipeline. And then the excavator can see where the markings are. And then he's allowed to do mechanical excavation up to say, within 36 inches, 24 inches of pipe. That's generally how you want it to work, but then there is a provision in the general laws that allow for an emergency locate, which would require almost immediate notification of that. So what I am proposing going forward on this, and NOG can take the lead on this, we would look at all 4 of the plans and get with the Navajo Enterprises, get a representative with them. We would get with NDOT, BIA. I would want to get a few of the Navajo contractors. I don't know if there's a contracting board within the Navajo Nation that we could approach to get a representative on that. We would get members of the public, get members of the chapter houses, the regulated industries, Kinder Morgan, Transwestern, Marathon, Elk Petroleum, Enterprise, ETN. They're more over on the eastern edge. There are a lot of those are regulated by the federal government. And so they would support this 100%. I don't know if they were like me. We just assumed the Navajo Nation had call before you dig program. So when I talk to them, I'm sure they'll be on board 150% on this because it's something they do in other areas of their operations that it's just kind of a thing. Once we would do that, I would present the proposal after we've had these meetings compared to the different state programs to make sure we have one that works with the Navajo Nation, the Navajo culture, and the Navajo government. We then seek sponsorship. We would get the RDC sponsorship on this. I would look to get the President's Office sponsorship. I'm pretty sure anybody that we would approach would support this legislation. There has been in the past, however, opposition to these kind of laws, and typically that came from municipalities and actual contractors. But you keep enforcing. The goal of this is to limit any type of damage to the underground facilities and any deaths or injuries that those, lack of following the law that could happen. So once we got that, I'm unclear as to the legislation process. I know in previous jobs I managed the pipeline safety department for the state of Nevada, where we would push through different legislation. It is a process. And I would need to seek out potential contractors or somebody that could walk us through that process. We do have some legal expertise within NOG that possibly could do that, but in the process, we would be looking to get that. I did speak with the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. When I spoke to them about the nation not having a call before you dig program, a damage prevention program, they did say there were funds available. Now, we didn't get into a lot of detail of what that meant, but that is another avenue I would pursue on that. I don't know if it would be an ongoing type of support or if it's just setting up the program of support. And with that, I don't believe just looking at this, we need to take advantage of existing programs like the one call centers. They're existing, and when you use the 811, That's a national number. No matter where you are in the country, you dial 811. Based on your address that you give, they then locate the local underground utilities in that area. So in the Navajo Nation, here in Window Rock, if you were to call 811, you would get the Arizona one call. You give them their address, then who's a member of the one call, they would get notified that Joe wants to dig here in Window Rock. And then they would notify everybody, and then I could give that. If I'm in San Benito, then it goes to New Mexico, you know, so again, the 811 is a simple remember number that people have. So no matter where you're digging, they will get right address and everything. And so, but it is a requirement if you're an underground utility, you become a member of the local one call.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
One of the things that for me, and this is something where I would need a lot of help if we the enforcement of the one call, you know. And when people think of one call, all they think about are, oh, these operators are out there excavating, they didn't dig. Well, sometimes the owner of the underground utility failed to get out there within 2 days. Because if I'm the guy who's going to do the excavating, and I know the law says you've got to mark your underground utility within 2 days. I come back 2 days later and I don't see any markings. Well, I think I'm safe. Okay, so I start my digging and I hit something. So I don't want anybody to ever think that when you have a call before you dig program, that it's the excavator that's always at fault. There's responsibility on everybody's part to make sure this happens, you know. And so if you had an enforcement agency, they could review the law, look at the evidence, and then make a recommendation. And there's different levels of enforcement on this. Sometimes it's just a warning letter, but it is, and other times it's due to the significance. If there is a fatality, then that could lead to a little stronger enforcement. And that would have to be, you know, discussed and looking at what other states are doing and see what's consistent. We could look at other tribal entities and see what they're doing on that. But what I found so far in the limited research I've done is they seem to just adopt the whatever state program they're in, you know, and so. But going forward, really stress the benefits of this. You know, first, number one benefit, of course, is to reduce all incidents. You don't want to damage underground facilities. And then the third is when you look at the costs. I don't want to downplay the significance of the events of Shiprock, but for the most part, this was a very contained spill. You know, we limited the spill. We were able to recover most of the spilled oil, but we're still pushing close to $3 million on this. Okay. We didn't reach water, we didn't reach this, you know, and so these spills are very expensive. The insurance companies step up and do it. And so with the knowledge of having a damage prevention program that everybody is a member of, that'll help reduce some of the business insurance costs associated with everything. And so there's just a long list of benefits to having a program. And I don't want to leave anybody with the impression that if we do get a damage prevention program, that, oh, we're going to have these incidents are going to stop. It's a national, you know, program. A lot of every state has one now. But third-party damage is still one of the leading causes of underground utility failures. But the numbers are going down. There's a lot of publicity, emphasis on this. So the numbers are going down. And it's just a benefit to communities to have this. And once it's in place, then the education comes in. And part of us being a regulated entity, we are required to get out, educate the general public. We do that with mailings. We do that with meetings. We do that with our signs along the pipeline. We meet with excavators 2 or 3, 4 times a year. We meet with them at their trade shows. We meet with them at specifically designed luncheons. Word is getting out. We meet with government officials to talk about enforcement. We meet with just pretty much everybody who is involved in our industry. You know, so the word is getting out. Pipeline markers, educating the public is an important part of us from a regulatory entity. And with that, that was all I've got prepared. Ms. Topaha, who's sitting to my right, she does a lot of our public education, and this is one of the presentations that she gives and that she supports. And With that, I will turn it over to her to quickly go through it. I hope I didn't use her full 20 minutes. So,
Okay, you do have like 8, 9 minutes.
Okay. Good morning, honorable delegates. Thank you for having us here. I just wanted to update and give a report on some of the meetings that we have had since the beginning of the year. Most of these are annual meetings that we do. We are a member of the Four Corners Damage Prevention Group, which is oil and gas industries from New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and Arizona. So on the second page, it says damage prevention meetings. Some of the public meetings we had that I attended was the Anna's chapter during their 24-acre meeting, and I gave the 811 message and also showed pictures of the Shiprock spill just to let them know, because I noticed they had a grader in their front yard ready to go out too. So then we attended the Shiprock chapter meeting on January 10th, Red Mesa chapter meeting, January 16th, San Juan chapter meeting, February 18th, Shiprock water irrigation, and NDOT, well, the meeting was here in Window Rock. We invited NDOT there. There was like about 77 people showed up. So that was a good turnout. And the annual meetings these are additional meetings because I learned that the chapters had their own heavy equipment. So I tried to target chapter meetings as soon as I could. Also, the annual meetings are listed on the next page. Cuba, Farmington, we trained with the excavators and emergency responders. NAPI, we train with them too annually because they have a turnover, annual turnover. So we try to train the new employees, and we usually have a really good turnout there. And our pipeline goes through Colorado, so we attend Ignacio and Cortez. So those are the meetings that we have attended. And we're participating with the damage prevention. And then the slide, there's just that agenda that we follow for each meeting. And then on one page, it has excavation safety. It has the 4 811 call centers. So New Mexico 811, Colorado 811, Blue Stakes of Utah, and Arizona 811. And then we talk about calling 811 before you dig and why you should to avoid any accidents. And then we introduced a color code, what each flags represent. So the yellow would be oil and gas. The red would be electric. So, and then just what Joe talked about, once they call 811, we're given 20, we have to mark the line, and then once it's marked, they're okay to excavate safely. And most places, the excavator is required by law to call 811, and we tell them not to move the markings, even if they, until they're done what they're digging. And if they're going to be digging very close to our pipeline, we have an operator out there monitoring them from our company to make sure they don't hit the pipeline. The tolerant zone is 18 inches from each side of the pipe. So we just educate them on that. And just the steps to take when they're going to dig: find excavation, pre-mark where they're going to dig in the white flags. That way we know where to look. Call 811 and wait the required time. So these are the steps we, encourage them to follow. And one of the next slide is a NAPI spill that we had in 2004. So I include those pictures just to let them know that it does happen. It's a reality that, if 811 is not called, the pipeline will get hit. And then the next one, I included the spill at Shiprock too. 811 was not called. And some of the steps we take to ensure pipeline integrity. We assess the pipe, we have a smart pick, which means we put a tool inside the pipeline. And maintenance, we do pipeline repairs, cathodic protection, and aerial patrol. And if you go on talking about aerial patrol, there's a picture on there where it says continuing surveillance. The right side is our aerial patrol. He spotted an backhoe going toward our pipeline on the right of way. So if you see that purple line, that's the Running Horse pipeline. And the blue dot right near it is the backhoe going toward the pipeline. They were gonna clean that canal out right there, that water canal. So we had an operator in the area to approach him and let him know that our pipeline is right there. And we had our operators do that work because they knew exactly where the pipeline was, so we cleared out the brush there. For that was Shiprock Water Irrigation. So when we heard that the following week, I scheduled a meeting to do an 811 call before you did training at their facility. So. And then the next page is just go recognize natural gas emergencies. How we communicate with the public. We do mail outs, media, television, periodic meetings, and community involvement like the fairs, home shows, oil and gas shows. And then how to, approach when there's a leak, or even how to identify a leak. But those are the information I have in our training when we do that. And I'm not the only one usually there. Sometimes I have the other oil and gas companies that help out, like Kinder Morgan and Marathon. So this is like a group effort that we do. And then we have emergency response training too, where we invite first responders like the police officers and the firefighters. So we get a good turnout on that. And those are the types of training we have done so far as 811 goes. We are having one coming up at Esleda. It's a summit, Common Ground Alliance, and that's going to be in October. I just wanted to share that with you guys so that in case anybody wants to attend. That's going to take place October 22nd to the 24th. And it's all geared toward damage prevention and calling 811 before you do.
Okay.
And that's what I have. Thank you.
Great, I appreciate your report. Members of the committee, may I get a motion to accept the report? Vice Chair Johnson, may I get a second? Honorable Claw. Members of the committee, do we have any questions for Running Horse Pipeline with their presentation? Honorable Claw?
No, I don't think our mics are working. I just want to say thank you for the presentation, and although it was a last minute notice, and it's very unfortunate to know that it took an incident like this to kind of get a knee-jerk reaction from the Navajo Nation. But I do appreciate the planning that you both have for a call 811 program for the Navajo Nation. We look forward to the work that you have entailed. And it sounds like you do have a process set out. And then as far as the legislation part, we as a council and especially RDC would be more than happy to assist you with getting that legislation started. And as you were talking about the 811 program and how it's established nationwide, I'm just thinking of what resources the Navajo Nation can put forth so that we maintain that national coverage. A big part of it is going to be with the rural addressing system, and I believe that needs to be pushed forward. We do have members from the Navajo Nation broadband here, and so that's why it's very critical to get that E91 program established, as well as the rural addressing for residents. So I believe that RDC does have a work session with the Law and Order Committee, and I believe that's one thing that we can push forward But if I can be of any assistance and I would like to be a sponsor of the 811 DIG program, I like to just let you know. So thank you so much. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable Claw. And again, just as Honorable Claw had mentioned, you know, I just really appreciate Running Horse Pipeline, Navajo Nation Oil and Gas, and being proactive in regards to the 811 dig. I did talk to Mr. Stephen at City on where everything was at, but I think that this type of dialogue that was mentioned here by Mr. Robertson as to who would be at the table to discuss implementing the 811, I really think is a great concept. And I just like to request if you can just keep the committee informed of your meetings. We would appreciate that, so that if it's, you know, available with our time to be present, to just listen to the dialogue and whatnot going forward. So I know that the state had theirs, which supersedes, you know, the Navajo Nation, because we didn't have one. And if it's Navajo Nation that's going to be utilizing that, that would be also great. So as long as we know that we're readily prepared for these types of events going into the future, that'd be great, especially with the natural gas pipelines that are staggered across the Navajo Nation. I know that's the bigger concern, especially with the communities that have these pipelines staggered within their community. So again, I just want to thank you, and we look forward to more, you know, dialogue. And Honorable Claude did mention she's willing to drop the legislation when it's you know, crafted and you feel like it's the final product to go before council. So again, we appreciate that. Yeah. Any other members of the committee? Honorable Simpson?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of RC. Thank you, presenters. Thank you for your presentation. Appreciate that. Madam Chair, and members of RC, you know, this is it has to be a key effort. We really, you know, we have all these other companies out there, and some were mentioned. We got engineering, Marathon. We have all these pipelines going across Navajo Nation, both on the reservation side and on the eastern side. And how we try to prevent where this what happened in Shiprock area doesn't happen again. And you still see people out there with their tractors, with your grader, with your backhoe, still digging out. And how do we get this information out there? I know we're trying to implement this 811 within Navajo Nation. Again, one of the things, how do we have enforcement? And that's another thing that we have to look into. So again, I really don't want just to push this on Running Horse pipeline. I mean, there's just so many out there right now, companies that have their pipelines going through Navajo Nation, and also then you talked about hydrogen too. If that is in reality, we have to look into that too. So I just don't want to put everything on Running Horse pipeline. I don't see, how do we get these companies, and I appreciate what you're doing, educating people, all the chapters you mentioned, appreciate that. What chapter you forgot to
I plan to attend that.
So, we do read our documents here, so I was looking at that. But, Madam Chair, again, how do we do these, and I mentioned this at Shiprock when we went and a tour of the pipeline, the site where we still happened. And I mentioned that, but how do we get other pipelines to be responsible to where they educate our Navajo people in our chapters, and how before they dig, call 811. How do we do that? I mean, I just don't want to put our entity, Navajo Nation Oil and Gas and Running Horse pipeline to bear all the responsibility. I mean, just looking at their pipeline, that's just a small portion of what we have on our Navajo Nation on the reservation side and eastern. So I'd like to request Resource Development Committee we need to bring other entities, maybe have some type of and sort of we would definitely need your assistance. I mean, because like I said, there's all these companies out there have their pipelines running through our Navajo Nation. And I want to make sure that they educate the communities and the people where the pipeline's going to. Not just running voice going out there and saying, hey, this is what you're supposed to do before you dig. We want to make sure that all these companies, have a responsibility too. Come together, put it on radio, social media, put something that this lasted out, that this won't happen again, because like you said, I'm not looking, the first thing I'm looking at is the safety of our Navajo people. And then taking care of our land. That's one thing I understand, but it goes back to also the cost of it too. Cost of it. And but again, most important thing is safety of our people, you know, and but. Madam Chair, again, I just need the guidance of the Resource Development Committee to decide, RDC to how to bring all these companies together. To share that we should have a responsibility to educate our Navajo people in our chapters. I just need some guidance from the RDC. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Miss, before I yield it over to you, Mr. Robertson, let me go ahead and yield it to our legal counsel, Ms. Khan.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, the request I see here, I've been hearing is for, some sort of procedures or information with regard to the call before you dig, program. And I see this as something that must be initiated within the Navajo Nation itself. We're dealing with the Navajo Nation having a land base that is very, very large. And then there are 3 other sovereigns that have coordinated with various, the various private pipeline companies. I do think that this is an instance in which the Division of Natural Resources, which has all the right-of-way information of pipelines of not just oil and gas, but water and everything else that's been requested for right-of-ways. That's the Division of Natural Resources. You have the Division of Public Safety with regard to keeping the Navajo Nation residents safe, and you also have the Navajo Nation EPA that keeps track of the types of substances that are being placed in those various right-of-ways. I do see this as an instance in which the division directors should be brought together and to decide where to put an office with regard to information for the 811, and then to call upon those with the information in our own Navajo Nation government with regard to the 811 calling access, which of course would be broadband type of information. But I do see this as a Navajo Nation internal responsibility as opposed to an individual private pipeline company. We could, the division directors could call upon their information, which was a great presentation here with regard to how to go about and do it. But I see this as a Navajo Nation regulatory subject that should, and the Navajo Nation itself knows what divisions and departments it has. And then to look at the other jurisdictions, and which was provided here with how that information gets out, who has the responsibility and such. And the presentation was done about getting the information out to the public. But I see this as a Navajo Nation internal regulatory function. And I could be wrong, but I don't with regard to the different states, those other jurisdictions, I think the Navajo Nation should weigh in and ask for how to fit into the network with regard to the other 3 states that we are in. This is a big project, and I don't see how a private company would know where the certain call number should be on the Navajo Nation and who to contact with regard to this information within the Navajo Nation. The Navajo Nation has its own form of government. And I see this as a Navajo Nation internal function that the division directors should be called upon to formulate and to look to the other jurisdictions to see how these other jurisdictions have implemented the 811 calling system. I see this, and I see it also as an executive branch function. And whoever is decided to formulate the legislation, then they bring it to the legislative branch. I see this as, in short, as an internal Navajo Nation division, various divisions coordination to get this done.
Honorable Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of RC carrying on, going off what, Mrs. Khan stated. Mrs. Khan, I'd like to request to Office of the State Council to come up with a directive for our next meeting, directing the appropriate entities with the Nation to start work on this regulatory, to implement A11 with the Nation working with, you guys will do all the research and everything like that. So, I'd like to request we directive to the appropriate division of natural resources and Nation EPA and other entities that needs to be involved and directed to start working on. So, Madam Delegate, talk and start to spontaneous station. So, I think this needs to be implemented as soon as possible. And I know it's going to take maybe a couple of months to get it done, to get this regulation in place for navigation. So, directed from the RDC to the appropriate oversight, the division or department who have oversight that can work on these, especially DOJ too. DOJ also, the city council is being involved. So, Mr. Khan, I'd like to make that request to you to come direct for our next meeting to start getting this thing done as soon as possible. This 811. So thank you, Madam Chair, and we've already seen Kat.
Shiash, thank you for that recommendation. And again, a directive to, at this time, it'd probably be Dean or EP, and I don't know if we have any other division. Rodney, did you want to add anything?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, echoing Ms. Khan's concern that my recommendation is that this directive come from the NAPGate committee, as this also deals with public safety, which is under the Law and Order Committee, Telecommunication Regulatory Commission, which is also under the oversight of the NAPGate committee. Our oversight is only limited to Division of Natural Resources and EPA regarding this matter. This, as Ms. Khan did mention, this issue is an internal nomination matter, and it is a huge project that requires all the divisions and all the departments to undertake as a whole. And it's my recommendation that the directive come from the NAPGate committee, as the entire council would have a stake in this. Madam Chair, members of RDC.
Thank you for your recommendation, Mr. Tahi. From Resources and Development Committee, was just having to be proactive. I'd like to start a directive early to DNR and EPA, but I can go ahead and consult with Madam Speaker Curley to see if this particular discussion can be taken to the Navigatia Committee meeting at a later time on the agenda, but at least RDC will be one step ahead where possibly even DNR and EPA could be allowing to start the dialogue there at Navigatia, and to add the other divisions under other subcommittee oversight will also come to the table as well. So Honorable Claw.
Yes, so I just wanted to add into the discussion here. And I am aware that this will take Navigatia, but we do have our agent sitting here who is willing to start collecting the 811 from all the agencies, the states that they work with. So if I can continue to ask you to continue to get that information for us so that we can be prepared when we begin, that would just be my only request. Thank you.
So with that, Honorable Claw, I'd like to, since Navajo Oil and Gas Running Horse Pipeline has already put forth a lot of effort in regards to compiling information, and that would be a working discussion when DNR and EPA takes hopefully the lead and inviting the entities that would be at the table. And I'm sure that they're going to be inviting oil and gas and possibly even the gas companies across Navajo Nation. Now, in regards to the gas companies having to do education with these natural gas lines that are running across these certain chapter communities, I would like to work with Minerals Department with Ms. Jeremiah, because I'm most certain that she has the updated information. And I don't know if it would have to require writing a letter from, I don't know if it's gonna be RDC as chair to these companies, or reminding them to allow education opportunity at the chapter meetings, possibly even on a quarter basis. So that was the recommendation from Honorable Simpson. So let me charge myself with that task, and I'll give you all an update as a committee in regards to how we're gonna go forward and writing letters to these natural gas companies and some of these other companies so that they provide proper education to chapter communities within these prospective communities that have these infrastructure lines running across. So again, I just wanted to note that also for what Honorable Simpson had to mention, and thank you for that recommendation. So with Ayla going forward, any other questions, members of the committee? Going once, twice, okay, with that, I think we have our next, Mr. Robertson, back to you, I'm sorry, apologize.
No, I just wanted to comment on Honorable Simpson there. A lot of the regulated entities, we are required to do training and that, and so they're out there, whatever form they're doing, there is a standard. And I would like to maybe present to the RDC, I can email the regulations and then the guidance that they provide, so that you have an idea when you're talking to these entities that, oh, I'm out here in public education, what is the regulatory requirements of that public education including? So I will send that to Rodney and he can distribute that. And then to Ms. Khan, support everything she said there. We'll support her and the legislative process in anything that they need. I firmly agree that this needs to be from the Navajo government. We can provide you information as to what other states are doing, what other Native organizations are doing. And then I guess my belief has always been, you know, I don't need to reinvent the wheel if somebody else is there. If I can improve upon that, then that's what I prefer to do. But having all that information to getting it to the decision makers, then I think they can make a more well-informed decision that'll work for everybody.
Question, thank you, Mr. Robertson, for that, and I do appreciate, you know, any information sharing, and again, for the other natural gas companies that are going across Navajo Nation. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and get that directive letter or on the RDC agenda for next week, and so that we could try to get this addressed sooner. And with that, thank you for your report again. So Rodney, I'd like to go ahead and take roll call vote in accepting the report from Running Horse Pipeline.
Madam Chairman, I've already seen this is roll call vote. We're receiving reports item 5B. Honorable Sean Claude, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Sean Claude votes green. Honorable Casey Allen Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Allen Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Bill Goodrich, Nez, votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Excuse Madam Chair, that's 4 in favor, 0 opposed, Madam Chair not voting.
Negotiate. So with that, motion carries. And again, we have our next steps on this particular topic, 811 dig regulations, specifically for Navajo Nation. And again, thank you to the Running Horse Pipeline representatives, Mr. Robertson and Ms. Topahi, for your presentation here today. And I noticed that we do have President in the back, Mr. L. Sosi. Yeah, thank you for gracing us with your presence here today. Thank you to Navajo Nation Oil and Gas, to the team out there, and having to be proactive, and also looking at the upstream, lower stream, and midstream activities. Yeah, thank you. So going on to letter C of receiving reports. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you. With Navajo Nation Telecommunications Regulatory Commission on the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, we know that, of 2021 broadband projects, and the National Telecommunication and Infrastructure Administration, NTIA grants. This will require an executive session, colleagues. So, at this time, I just want to clarify something here. The commissioners are on the Navajo Nation telecommunication operations side of the Navajo Nation. The broadband office that Miss Sonia Naz runs is with the broadband projects. So I noticed that she's not listed here as a presenter, but I believe that as department manager for the broadband office, she's more familiar with a lot of these projects that are identified under ARPA. So I'm requesting, with the permission of my colleagues, if we can have Ms. Sonia Nez be part of this discussion. Okay, I don't think they heard me. So we'll go ahead, Sonia Nez, to be part of this discussion because she oversees the broadband projects for ARPA. How about she? We'll go ahead and add her to this discussion, and we're going to executive session. So how long do you prefer that we're in this executive session, Nadine and Sonia?
Ma'am, depending on the questions that you have, maybe not more than 45 minutes,
Okay,
an hour.
to an hour,
I think so.
an hour. How about she? So we'll be in executive session for 1 hour. And who we need in executive session, of course, is the committee. I'd like our legislative council, and also, Mr. Tahi. And we also would like to have Miss Sanlatsa Jim from, Speaker's Office. And then I'd like the commissioners for telecommunication and also Miss Sonia Nez. Those are the individuals that I would like to have in this executive session. So we're gonna take it to the boardroom, or we're gonna stay in here, Rodney?
Order.
Boardroom,
We'll
huh?
go to the board.
We'll go ahead and go to the boardroom, so you don't have to leave. Sonia,
May I request on Bernardo as well?
is he here?
He's gonna call
We don't have no call-in number for this. So, so we won't, have a call-in number, so we'll go ahead and have those named individuals. Now, may I get a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Chair Naz and second by Arnold Simpson.
Chair, for the record, I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session for 1 hour.
Agushi, thank you for that, Chair Ness. So we'll go into executive session into the boardroom again. It'll be members of RDC, Mr. Tahi, our legal counsel, the commissioners to telecommunication, and also Ms. Sonia Nez. So we'll go ahead and take it next door, and we will be starting. Can we take a 5-minute break and start at 11:45? We'll start at 11:45 for 1 hour and coming out at 12:45. Could I get a roll call vote, Mr. Tahi?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote for an executive session for 1 hour for receiving reports, item 5C. Honorable Shannon Cloud, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Shannon Cloud votes green. Honorable Casey Allen Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Allen Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Wise, votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Excuse Madam Chair, it's 4 in favor, 0 opposed, and Madam Chair not voting.
Agushi?
Vote on it.
Oh, into the boardroom. So we'll start at 11:45, so take a 5-minute break before we go into the executive session, colleagues. Okay. But I already excused you.
Okay, I'll go in first.
And thank you colleagues and also to telecommunication commissioners and also to broadband. Members of the committee, I would like to get a motion to exit out of executive session.
Motion.
Honorable Claude, may I get a second? Honorable Simpson. Rodney, can you take a roll call vote to exit?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote for exiting out of executive session at 12:52 PM. Honorable Shawna and Claude.
Green.
Honorable Shawna and Claude votes green. Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson.
Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez.
Rick Nez, full screen.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson.
Green.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto So. Excuse Madam Chair, is four in favor or opposed? Madam Chair, not voting, exit out of executive session.
Question, thank you for that. Going back to accepting the report, may I get a motion to accept the report? Vice Chair Johnson,
Second.
second by Honorable Claude. And Rodney, can we take a roll call?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote for receiving reports, item 5C. Honorable Shawna and Claude, you vote.
Green.
Honorable Shawna and Claude votes green. Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Ellen Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Rick Nez, votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Excuse, that's four in favor, zero opposed, Madam Chair, not voting.
Hakoshi, so with that, motion carries, and again, thank you to our presenters. Going on to item number 6, old business, we have none. Going on to item number 7, new business legislation, 0098-24. The sponsor is not here. So, Vice Chair?
He's on his way.
Oh, okay. He's
Let's do-
on
Let's do a 15,
like 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Since Honorable
He's in the parking lot.
Chair James is here at the parking lot, let's go ahead and give 10 minutes to take some of this, enjoy some of this food that was purchased here for us. And then we'll go ahead and yield the floor over to Mr. Chair James, colleagues.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, could I give an announcement here?
Short announcement by Chair Nance.
Kushina, Madam Chair, committee members, this Saturday is Armed Forces Day. And there's gonna be a veterans walk on 371 south of NAPI headquarters, where the road turns towards Vernon. It's called N5, right at that section. It's where last year we started from there. We walked right below south of the headquarters, about a mile, and then we went west towards Upper Cleveland, Walker Collins Center. And that's what we ended up at about maybe 5 or 6 o'clock. We had dinner there. And also there were awards, but this time the awards are gonna be women warriors. They're gonna be there. Now Nation Oil and Gas had purchased most of the blankets. So everybody, come join us, stop by, honk your horn, do something if you're in that area. I know a lot of people go over there to buy their hay. I don't know if there's still hay at Nappy. A lot of people go over there are hauling hay, so just to let you know that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hakoshi, thank you, Chair Nez for that announcement. Otto and Spago here for communities that are recognizing our veterans and our lady warriors out in the greater part of the Navajo Nation. And again, even to our male warriors that are out there still serving and are female to this day. So yeah. So colleagues, with that, we do have the sponsor here. So I'd like to go ahead and just proceed with the presentation, Shinatani Nofini. And just to let you know, this legislation has final authority with Budget and Finance Committee, Shinatani Nofini. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and yield the floor over to Rodney to read the legislation into the record.
Madam Chair, members of RDC, you have Legislative summary sheet for tracking number 0098-24, date May 2nd, 2024. Title of the resolution and action relating to Resource and Development Committee and the Budget Finance Committee approving a change to CAP 35-18 Exhibit D, project number 123 for the Cornfields chapter by amending the project type and project duration. This legislation is for approval and act change to CAP 35-18 Exhibit D, project number 123 for the benefit of the Cornfield chapter by amending project types to plan, design, construct, and equipment by amending the project year funding to year 3 for the amount of $250,000. Budget and Finance Committee has final authority over this legislation, which we read into the record in its entirety. The primary sponsor of this legislation is Honorable Vince R. James for tracking number 0098-24. An action relating to Resource and Development Committee and Budget and Finance Committee approving change to CAP 35-18 and Exhibit D, project number 123 for the Cornfield chapter by amending the project type and the project duration. And Section 1 outlines authority, and Section 2 the findings with references in Exhibit A and Exhibit B and Exhibit C and Exhibit D. And Section 3 is the approval with references in Exhibit D, and Section 4 is effective date, and Section 5 is the savings clause attached as Exhibit A, which is the Citizens Fund Power Line and Chapter Project expenditure plan for project number 123. Attaches Exhibit B, which is a resolution by the Budget and Finance Committee of the Nomination Council, the 24 Nomination Council, first year of 2019. Resolution number BFN at -36-19 attached is Exhibit C, which is the resolution from the Cornfield chapter requesting the Resource Development Committee to change the project type for pre-design to plan, design, construct, and equip for the Deer Point Business Development under CAP 35-18 Citizen Fund Project Fund Power Line and Chapter Project in the amount of $250,000. Attaches Exhibit D, which is the Capital Projects Management Department Citizen Project Amendment Certification for CAP 35-18. Then you have the first report for legislation number 0098-24, sponsors Honorable Vince R. James. This legislation was posted on May 3rd, 2024 at 4:24 p.m. The final comment period ended on May 8th, 2024. There was no comment supporting this legislation, no comments opposing this legislation, and no comments or recommendation on this legislation. Madam Chair, members of RDC, that is legislation number 0098-24, right into the record.
Question? Thank you. Motion by Chair Ness,
Second.
second by Honorable Simpson. Members, no questions. We're gonna go ahead and take it straight to vote as being at this final authority. Rodney?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call vote for legislation number 0098-24. Honorable Shannon Cloudy vote. Honorable Shannon Cloud is excused. Honorable Casey Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Allen Johnson votes green.
Honorable Casey Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Ness, how do you vote?
They'll get a written vote screen.
Honorable Ricky Ness votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Excused. Madam Chair, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Madam Chair, not voting.
So with that, motion carries. And thank you, Otto. Honorable James,
Thank you.
Honorable Simpson?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of RDC, appreciate the colleagues always putting a lot of thoughts into certain reports. That and the stations and all that. So, Madam Chair, I'd like to add an item to, I had a proposed legislation to the Jenny Care, and you're supposed to have a work session. Work session to discuss this legislation, which you're a co-sponsor, Madam Chair. 006024. I know we have our delegate, a colleague here, Mr. Delegate also, which is a fine sponsor, and our Madam Chair is our co-sponsor. And this has been lingering now, and I know we didn't have a work session due to the, our colleagues here being very busy. So I think we should just consider it, just vote it for it and see what happens. I think it's been lingering on and on for the past 2 or 3 weeks. So I like to make that tip, Madam Chair. I believe that can go under old business.
This coming RDC meeting?
No, now. I'd like to add to the agenda.
Oh, now. Okay,
So it'll be under old business. 006-24, which was tabled,
okay.
and I'd like to put it on the agenda.
0060024, yeah.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Nagoshi? So with that, Ahiya Shiyash, Honorable Simpson for bringing that, request up to put it on the agenda. We did hear from Honorable Otto So, who had recommended to put it on to the next RDC meeting, wow.
Madam Chair, I respect my colleague, but, like I said, I think this wants to be considered, and, again, you're a co-sponsor,
Mhm.
but I'll go ahead and respect that then. My brother.
Yeah, so I did consult with Otto as well, and I told him that I know NTOA has been waiting, so we need to be considerate, so. He did mention the next RDC meeting to put it back on the agenda. So for consideration, so Asian potato shiash. So with that, I do appreciate that. So we're coming to close the meeting. Any announcements, members of the committee?
Budget Lane pipeline.
Let's see, we got an invite from our colleague Honorable Norman Begay in regards to an event that will be taking place this coming Wednesday, May the 15th at Tohajile. They're going to have their, is it groundbreaking for the water pipeline out there, Rodney?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, there was an invitation sent out by the Water Resources Committee, also Mr. Jason John, regarding the Tohajile Pipeline groundbreaking ceremony, which is scheduled for Wednesday, May 15, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. This is part of the Sunset Reservoir near Acosta Vista on I-40 near Tohajile. The invitation was sent out via email, and right now I have two individuals who have confirmed their participation, which is Honorable Shauna Claw as well as Honorable Brenda Jesus, to be part of this presentation.
Thank you, Rodney. So colleagues, you're more than welcome to participate. I'd like to, before I go to Danny, I'd like to make a, Mr. Mitchell? Did you want? Oh, okay, you can come up and make an announcement, wow.
As we make this announcement earlier, but they said that. The CIP plan, the other one that we're working on is capital match. So there's some money there. We allocated that may clean for us, so if your project has been funded by the state or from any state. The federal funded, if you're shortfall, I need a listing.
You need a listing?
Yeah, any project. If your project is shortfall.
Oh, okay, so the announcement from Director Mr. Mitchell from Division of Community Development is if a chapter currently has a shortfall for a project, whether it's state capital outlay or CHSN, right? Just state EG and federal dollars to contact the Division of Community Development, to whom, CPMD or to Mr. Mitchell, in hopes that the shortfall funding for any federal funded or state project will be considered by Navajo Nation Community Development. Mr. Mitchell, if you can send that notice out via email to all the chapters or even the delegate 25th Navajo Nation Council, so we can relay that message and hopefully get some projects to you. Rodney?
Madam Chair, members of RDC, I have one more announcement. There's also going to be an update committee work session, and it's also going to be held at Tohajile chapter on May 15th on 2024. And the discussion of the work session is going to be the Rio San Jose Water Rights Settlement Agreement. Madam Chair, members of RDC.
When is that?
This coming Wednesday.
Tohajile as well.
Okay, Danny, you're back to you. I know you wanted to.
Is that RDC?
No.
Thank you,
Water rights.
Madam Chair. I'm sorry, Steve. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a request to Resource Development Committee here, with NAPI and NIP. I guess the OPBP is requesting additional, working with the pumpkin patch, additional acres within NAPI. And the agreement is between the pumpkin patch and Navajo Nation on use of the acres they're using today. But they want additional acres and they're going to NAPI. don't know why, because again, they agree with the nomination, so they have some concerns that NAPI wants to bring to the RDC. And the second is, how do we move forward with NIP? And completion of the block 9, 10, and 11. And as NAPI, I mean, as RDC, we're very busy, and I think somewhere down the line, we really need to talk about, do we delegate this to the board, NAPI board, to start lobbying? Start lobbying at the congressional level, see what we can get for the completion of NIP and the O&M. So I think there's some concerns that need to be brought to RDC too, so if possible, again, request to RDC here, that we can, at our next meeting, maybe can we hold that meeting at NAPI, it's gonna be Monday. If we can just address immediately, and help we start addressing these issues that NAPI's raising. So, done, okay, member of RDC, Hashem, thank you.
Okay, yeah, Shiaj, we will definitely work on that with, Rodney here for the, RDC meeting to schedule the NAPI NIT issue in regards to the, projects that were being proposed and the lobbying efforts at the congressional level. So I'll go ahead and work with Rodney and we'll definitely, get that information to you all as, RDC members. Abigail.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I think, Madam Chair, I think really, the boards that we have oversight, not, I guess, board that oversight of these enterprises, I think that RC has been very, very good about not micromanaging these divisional departments. I think we really need to convey that to the boards too, that we have the enterprise that oversight, that they don't micromanage these, administration, because RC has done a really good job on that within the nomination, so I think we need to make sure that that's conveyed to the board, the one we have oversight on, the enterprise, so, it's just, I don't like micromanage. I just like making requests, but Madam Chair, I just keep members to the RC. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so let me give it to you, Mariana, and then also, can you do a follow-up response on how we can convey that message to the board enterprise, the board to enterprises in regards to what was mentioned, to not micromanage the function of the administration, or functional activity or functional departments under these enterprises. So, Ms. Khan?
Madam Chair, I just wanted you to know that, heads up, the next RDC meeting will have major legislation before you, having to do with the water rights settlement. Maybe that would be best just to leave it here, have the meeting here, because of that major legislation.
Right.
Just in terms of presenters and whatnot.
Okay. So, Shiaj, Honorable Simpson, with that, I'd like to, be, cautious to see if we stay local, So, but we can invite them here, and then the United States Environmental Protection Agency, I believe, Region 9 office, they're gonna be here too. So we'll go ahead and leave that. So with that, we got that situated. One, announcement that I'd like to make, Rodney, for June 3rd RDC meeting. It is at the request of, Navajo Gaming Enterprise that they would like to present a report to RDC in executive session. And the request was also to have, Navajo Gaming Enterprise, and the contact there would be, Chanel Buell, B-U-H-L. She's a contact, and, they want the, Navajo Housing Authority to be in attendance. They want Navajo Nation Shopping Center to be in attendance. They want Navajo Tribal Utility Authority to be in attendance, and Navajo Nation Department of Justice. Now, this discussion is going to be around Twin Arrows Casino. So, to get in, an update on that, So, with that, for June third is what they requested, and the board are also going to make themselves available that day to present here before RDC. So again, I just want to make that announcement. Vice Chair?
So, thank you for sharing that, request with us. I would like, the interim Matthew Shakamola to be present physically here during that work, during that, discussion.
Okay, yeah, the new CEO, Matthew Shaw. However you say it, pronounce his last name. Thank you, Rodney. So I just wanted to add that to June third RDC meeting. Any other announcements? With that, no more announcements, colleagues. I'd like to call for adjournment. May I get a motion? Vice Chair Johnson and second by Chair Naz. It will be at 1:12. Rodney, can you please take roll call?
Madam Chairman of the RDC, this is roll call for adjournment at 1:12. Honorable Colorado vote. Excuse the Honorable Casey Johnson, how do you vote?
Vice Chair Casey Johnson will speak.
Honorable Casey Johnson votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez, how do you vote?
Still good with the vote, right?
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Danny Simpson, how do you vote? Honorable Danny Simpson votes green. Honorable Otto, how do you vote? Excuse Madam Chair, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed, the Madam Chair not voting.
With that motion carries to adjournment, and we adjourn at 1:12 PM. And thank you to my colleagues and also to our staff here and also to our relatives that are still present here, and then also to the listeners on the call. Thank you again and have yourself a safe Monday and the rest of the week.